Hi everybody. We live? I think so. Okay, so my name's Natasha, and I have a page, Tash Can Cook. You'll find that I do all sorts of cooking for personal cooking clients, catering, and I teach a lot of culinary classes too. So I teach through String and Salt as well as the Warragul Community House. I'm based in Warragul myself, so teaching cooking and all different types of food is a passion of mine. So today I thought I would do something super simple because this homeschooling thing has completely gotten my brain fried by the end of the day. So by 3:30, 4 o'clock, I'm just ready to collapse pretty much. I've got 8-year-old twins, a boy and a girl. One is in a 3 and 4 composite and one is in grade 3, just a regular grade 3. So they have two separate classes and homework requirements. So it's a bit of a challenge. So hopefully this meal here will help out other parents going through the same thing as myself, trying to homeschool their kids and just want to feed them a nice, nutritious, fast and healthy meal as well by the end of the day. So this, what I'm doing today is something Mum used to cook for us when we were kids as well. It's just a traditional scrambled sort of egg stir fry with tomato, which gets cooked down into a thick sort of sauce, and it's just so nice over a bowl of steamed rice. Very simple but absolutely delicious. And I'm going to make a very super quick sprout and cucumber salad to go with it as well. You can stir fry some mince or thinly sliced pork strips into this as well if you wanted a meat option. We don't always have meat. Sometimes we do. I think I've got some turkey mince, but it's pretty versatile. You can just stir fry some mince, and sometimes I put zucchini in it as well if I want to bulk it up a bit more. But because I'm going to have the salad today on the side, I don't think we really need it, to be honest. Hi Heike, how are you today? Nice to see you've tuned in. It can be a bit full on. I've had to take a very relaxed approach with what I choose to do for work now, because I find as soon as we wake up till that 3-4 o'clock, I'm so focused on guiding the kids through their homeschooling that I don't really have time for my own work. And we've only got the one computer. We just got a laptop borrowed from the school today. So really limits what I can do with my own time at the moment as well. And it's just me and the 8-year-old twins. So anyway, let's get started. So I'll start with cooking some rice. So I've just got, let's see if I can bring this over to show you guys. It's funny because the phones are magnetic, I've noticed on the back of the phone, they're magnetic. And so I've actually stuck it to the back of the Glen 20 can for support. There we go. The Glen 20 can is now sitting on my dish rack. So that's my very basic setup that I've got. And I thought if we have time, I've got some interesting things I wanted to show you to do with mushrooms too. Mushrooms are one of my passions, which I might talk about another time. Just get a measuring cup. So I may have mentioned before, what is this poking out here? It's a knife. That I'm type 2 diabetic. So I tend to steer clear of carbohydrates myself. So I really don't cook that much rice just for the kids. So I might do half a cup. And there's a bit of a rule when it comes to rice. I know a lot of people don't know how to cook rice, so I'll go through that as well. So half a cup of rice for my 2 kids. They don't really have a huge appetite either. So if you're cooking for an adult, I allow at least half a cup per adult. So I just use a pot. I don't have a rice cooker, which is funny because growing up, everyone always asked me, oh, you're Chinese, how do you cook rice? And my mum always used a rice cooker. She never cooked rice in a pot. If you asked her how to do it in a pot, she probably couldn't tell you, to be honest. So I'm just quickly rinsing the rice. This is just jasmine rice, which I've got here. You can use any rice, short grain, medium grain, basmati if you like that, which I think basmati is lower GI. Jasmine rice is one of the higher GI rices, so if you're diabetic, it's definitely not the good one to choose. Medium grain, I mean, it's still, I don't know about medium grain. Heike, do you know the GI rating of a medium grain Calrose rice? I'm not sure. Brown rice is nice, I quite like that, but again, I tend not to eat it myself. So just a quick little rinse with the jasmine rice. Washes a lot of the starches off the outside, and just to do it in a pot, cold water. So I do equal portions. So half a cup of rice, half a cup of water. 1 cup of rice, 1 cup of water. Very, very simple. That looks about right. So this pot here that I've got is probably a little bit too big for it even. Like you can see, I tend to use a smaller pot, but we're using this one today. So all I pretty much do from this point is pop it on the stove on a low flame, and how are we going? There we go. So just on a small flame with the lid on. You can add a little bit of salt to it if you want to, but because there's going to be a lot of flavour in the stir fry, we don't really need extra salt. So pretty much the rule to cooking rice is once it comes up to the boil, I mean, you could probably put it on a medium flame until it reaches boil. And once it comes up to boil, you turn it right down to the lowest or put it on your smallest burner on low, 10 minutes with the lid on, turn it off, that's it, done. So you can pretty much forget about it. If you're doing a larger volume of rice and you have it higher in the pot, just be careful it doesn't boil over. So you've just got to watch out for that. Let's see. Right, okay, talking about rice. Yeah, so I believe basmati out of the white grains are lower GI, aren't they? Basmati, brown, better for blood glucose balance. Fat and protein in the same meal. There you go. Thanks, Heike. That's really nice to know. So there'll be a bit of protein today from the eggs, a bit of fat from the oil. Now, I'm just using vegetable oil because I feel like that's a really mild, it's flavourless really, but you can use coconut oil if you like that. Peanut oil, it's up to you really what sort of, just don't use olive oil. It wouldn't be very nice with this type of flavour profile that we're building, but coconut oil is probably just as, even ghee. Actually, ghee is a really good one that would work with this. Maybe I'll use that instead. I've got some grass-fed ghee here, which will work very well. So sometimes it's nice. I tend to talk things out and just make decisions as I go. So that's really handy. Okay, here we are. So the rice is going. I'm just turning on my little wok here. Doesn't have to be a wok. You can use just a flat pan as well. I like cooking with cast iron. It really retains the heat, and it's a safe surface to cook on. You don't have Teflon. This is probably not the best to cook with. I think it's got a non-stick surface or something like that, but we're going with that today. Just grab a spoon. So you just want to add a good decent amount of oil to your pan. Because what you want to do is when you start stir frying your eggs, you want it really hot and you want it to be able to fluff up. So the hotter the oil is, the fluffier the eggs will get. So I'll show you that soon. Whereas like when you're cooking just sort of Western style scrambled eggs, they're not as fluffy. Oh, there goes the rice. It's starting to boil, so I'll turn that right down and pop that on the lowest flame there. 10 minutes, so we're looking at 25 past. Okay, so I've got some ghee melting in here. So what I've done is today my choice of eggs is Gindi eggs here, completely free range, and the colour of the yolk is just amazing. Like when you scramble them up, you can see they're just so bright and yellow, and you know they're being fed a really nice and healthy diet too. So here I've got those beautiful Gindi free range eggs in here. You can, I'm just trying to raise it above the comments so you can, without spilling it. I should probably just move my phone. That would be the smarter thing to do. But yeah, there we go. Look at those beautiful eggs. So this week, one of the other reasons why I chose to do this dish was because I have a few extra Gindi eggs I didn't quite get through. Normally I buy a tray a week, and as I mentioned, I've slowed down with my personal cooking and baking and that sort of stuff, so I haven't gone through as much eggs this week. And there's only so many eggs that I can eat on my own. Occasionally the dogs get one, well, a couple fried up. I've got a greyhound, she has 3 or 4. She has a massive appetite, and my 13.5 kilo Aussie Terrier, he's massive for an Aussie Terrier, he gets 2 eggs. These are 600 gram eggs, so they're on the smaller side. So quick whisk with a fork, nothing special. I don't use a whisk or anything, just, you know, just mix them up. And a bit of salt, which I have behind there. Sorry guys, that was my timer going off. I was seeing, put a 4-hour timer after I fed my sourdough, because my starter, I wanted to see how fast it was rising. So that was my 4-hour mark. Might just grab it, let's have a look. Not quite there yet. It's got a little bit of a rise, but we're looking for doubling within the 4 to 6 hour mark before you're able to really use it to bake. Okay, that's smoking hot now. So did I add the salt yet? I can't remember. Oh my gosh. Doesn't matter. We'll dump it in without the salt. We can adjust after. So I like to sprinkle some spring onions into the eggs. So I've just finally cut up some spring onions. Turn that on. Hope you can still hear me with the exhaust going. So yeah, a bit of spring onions into that egg mixture there, into the hot pan, and you can hear it bubbling. And I'll show you what I mean by using a really hot wok or pan with plenty of oil that just puffs up. you just want to gently sort of move that over. You don't want to scramble it at this point. Still not really hot enough. I think I turned it down when it was smoking and I shouldn't have, but that's okay. So you just want to cook it till it's set. Give it a little flick if you want to. Whoops. Try not to flick it out of the wok like I just did. It's a little bit harder cooking one-handed. I'll try and hold the phone. Very low budget here. This is a low budget production. Oh, there we go. You can see it's got that beautiful brown colour as well, which is what we want. We don't want pale, lifeless looking eggs. Right, so once that has just cooked and set, we can remove it out of your wok and pop it back into the bowl that you had your eggs in the first place. So we're going to do this in two parts here. Now you don't need to add any extra oil to this. Just some diced tomatoes. There's 3 diced tomatoes here. So add that in with a bit of water. So let's say about half a cup of water there. And leave the flame on high. We want to reduce and cook those tomatoes down and make like a really nice sauce. So at this point, you can add in your salt. So just a sprinkle, about a teaspoon of salt. Some soy sauce, whatever soy you prefer using. You can use coconut aminos if you want to. So I just put like a bit of a dash in, so 1 to 2 tablespoons roughly. You can adjust it to taste as well. It doesn't need too much in there. We'll just leave that to cook for a minute. Now at this point, it's come back up to the boil. You can pop your eggs in. And just break them up a little bit. You still want it to be nice and chunky. You don't want tiny bits of egg everywhere. And you'll see this will start to thicken up as well because the eggs will actually help with the thickening too. And they turn this sort of soft, really soft texture as well. It's almost in, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just really, really tasty. And you can turn it down a little bit now. It doesn't have to be on high. Just on a medium flame. And at this point, I like to just pop the lid on it just for a little bit so you can see the tomatoes are already starting to break down a little bit and soften. So I'll just leave that on low just for a little bit. Sorry, that's my finger covering the camera. I reckon that rice can get turned off now, and just leave the lid on. Don't touch it, don't look at it, it's fine, just leave it there. Alright, so over here I've got a bit of an indoor sprout garden happening. This is one of my latest passions, I suppose, that I really enjoy growing and being able to eat just at home. I'll talk a little bit about that in a sec, but what I'm going to firstly do is make a dressing. So all I have is some diced, finely diced, oh, don't do that, finely diced garlic. That's the word I'm looking for. Australian garlic there I've got, drizzled with oil. So what I'm going to do is actually just microwave it. So by microwaving the garlic, it's going to cook it and bring out the aroma. I was going to do, the reason why I had two dishes was because I was going to do a spicy one for me because I love chili and spicy food, but the kids don't. And so this is a really, really yummy dressing for salads, for just sprinkling on chicken, for dipping your bread in, stressed noodles, whatever it is. It's so yum. And yeah, I love, so you can make a huge pot of this and just leave it in the fridge and just use it on everything. Dumplings, oh, it's the best for dumplings. So I'll do one with chili in it for me. So all you basically want to do after you've chopped up and minced up your garlic, just drizzle it with some oil. Again, do not use olive oil, it will completely change the flavor profile of this. So just a neutral flavored oil would be good. Coconut again would be fine for this as well because it's got that Asian influence, which is easily adaptable. So I would microwave this for 2 minutes. If you don't want to use the microwave, or you don't like using a microwave, or if you don't have one, you can just heat the oil up in a little pot. Do it all together if you like, or pour the oil onto the garlic. That's another way of doing it. In that goes for 2 minutes. So a little bit about my sprouts here. So one of my favorite things is just to have heaps and heaps of sprouts really readily available. Just to pick some tops off to put on my salads as like a sandwich. Not that I eat sandwiches often, but my breakfast, I just love having it on my scrambled eggs or whatever it is. So this here is their pea shoots, and I always have some going. So maybe once a week or two I'll start some new shoots. So I'll show you these ones over here, just by my windowsill. If you can see those there. Oh, which way am I going? So that's basically, you soak your peas for one night, overnight, and I keep them in like one of these sprouting jars for a few days. So one of these jars has like it's a mason jar with a mesh lid. You can just use cheesecloth and a rubber band. So they're great for using to sprout. So anyway, I've got all sorts of sprouts happening here. I've got some broccoli. These are just random dishes that I've found in op shops and things. Ramekins are really good with lids because you can germinate them with the lid on and then take them off once they start growing. This is like a purple kale. It's so pretty. I love the colours of this one. So basically with the salad, I've just chopped up some cucumber there. however you like, whatever shape. You can do circles, battens, whatever. I kind of like them thin like that. And it is literally as simple as, I just grab my scissors here and give my pea shoots a trim and just add them to my bowl. So with the pea shoots, you can grow them inside, whoops, anywhere you like, on a table, on the windowsill, and I just spray them with like a little water bottle a couple of times a day, and they will actually continue to grow as well, so they last a fair bit. So even if you're trimming the tops off them, they will still grow. So I'm just going to turn the eggs off now because I reckon they'll be done. Yeah, they are just such an easy crop to grow, and yeah, so one crop will get you multiple cuttings. They just keep growing. Also, I've got some radish here. I'll see if I can, these radish microgreens as well, and they add really like a peppery taste to a salad. Kids might pick those ones out, I reckon, but we'll see how they go. But yeah, I just like adding, you know, whatever sprouts I'm growing, and I just rotate them. Alfalfa is one of my favorites. I have it every morning for breakfast. I actually crave it. It's just so fresh. And like, if you don't have access to, like, if you're self-isolating especially, and you don't go out to the shops often, and you don't want to be short on green produce to eat, just grow your own sprouts, and then you can just have a salad on hand, really. Like, there's nothing to it. So these sprouts here, I'd say they're about 10 days old at this stage. So like at least once a week, or once maybe 5 days or so, I just like to start a new batch of something. And they're just easy. You just give them a trim to add to your salads or whatever it is, and that's pretty much it. I'm also growing bean shoots too, so I'll show you those in a sec. These ones here are chrysanthemum, so I didn't sprinkle as many seeds in this pot. That's why they're looking a little bit more sparsely grown. I won't add those ones just yet. I'll let them grow a bit more. But I wanted to show you my alfalfa. This is what I have left from the crop that I did last week. That's all I've got left. And then this is almost ready for the fridge to harvest. And some people will grow these in the dark and then just bring them out for some light in the last day to go green and get the chlorophyll. I don't bother. I just grow them on the bench near the window. I like them looking really deeply and richly green. So if you don't have space to put them in a cupboard or the dark somewhere, it doesn't really matter. So these here are my bean shoots. I'll show you my little contraption. That's just a little Chinese pot, which I have like a little, I don't even know, like a serving dish thing. And this is the colander from ricotta cheese, which I bought once. And you basically just sprinkle your mung beans in there, soak them overnight again, and then lay them on some paper towel and just spray them once or twice a day. And these are about 3 to 4 days growth, so there's still a bit more growing to go there. But harvesting these again is really quite easy. I just pick the whole thing out. Like this one's fine and ready to to go. Sometimes I like to pull the ends off if they're looking a bit funky, you know, so sometimes they don't just have the nice one little shoot, they can sprout multiple shoots. And last week when I made my son help me harvest the mung bean shoots here, actually I can't remember if these are soybean or mung bean, but either way, he discovered he actually liked eating them. So that was a win for me, because this is a kid who'll only eat broccoli and carrots. Yeah, won't eat anything else. So this was definitely a win, to be able to grow your own sprouts at home and have the kids actually like eating them at home, and you know where they're coming from. You know there's not going to be any risk of contamination because you're the one that's taking care of them. Yeah, so you know where your food is coming from, which I think is really quite important, and it really doesn't take that much effort, to be honest. Phoenix, do you want to come say hello and tell everyone what you think about the sprouts?
Never.
He's like this, I will never. Anyway, that's pretty much the salad done. You just give it a toss. I'm going to add some red onion to my portion later. The kids don't like it, they find it too peppery, so we'll leave that out. I reckon I'd like the garlic to be a bit darker, so I reckon I'll put it in for another minute. And I'll just grab some vinegar from the fridge, just bear with me. So here I've got some Chinese vinegar. It's hard to get here. I've seen it at Woolies twice ages ago, but they stopped stocking it. So if you do get to an Asian grocer, or maybe even buy online, that's another option, especially during this time. Otherwise, you can use balsamic vinegar as a replacement for Chinese vinegar. So that's one that most people have in their cupboards already. So with the dressing for the salad, I pretty much just mix soy, sesame oil, and the Chinese vinegar in equal portions, and it's so good. Oh, maybe not as much sesame oil because that's pretty strong. So you can measure this out if you want to. Equal portions is what you would use. So you could say, depends on how much you want to make, but if you're just doing one for one salad, a tablespoon of soy, tablespoon of vinegar, and then just a little light drizzle of sesame oil, and that's it for your dressing. And you can taste it as you go along and see if you want it a bit more tart. You can add more vinegar in or less. Sesame oil, what did I do with it? I'm not sure if you can see. Oh, it's hot. It's just the ramekin's hot. Now, it would be a good idea to let this cool down before you dress your salad, but you can see there, it's just got all those beautiful sprouts and the cucumber underneath. You can give it all a toss to bring it all together if you like. And I always love adding seeds and nuts to my salads too. So this here is just a seed mix that I make up. It's got pine nuts, sunflowers, pepita, poppy seed, black sesame, white sesame, flax seed. What else is in here? All sorts of other stuff. Chia seed, and just some random nuts as well that if I've just got a little bit left over, I'll chop it up and throw it in there too. So I think there's some walnut and cashew in here also. So just a little bit of seed on top, and it just looks so incredibly pretty already, and you haven't even done anything with it apart from just piling on the sprouts and then the beautiful cucumber underneath, and it's just pretty, just presented like that. And then, yeah, I'll let that dressing cool down a little bit and just sprinkle it over. So let's go back to the stove, and I'll grab a serving bowl and show you what I would dish up for the kids. Forgot my Glen 20 can, I need that. Here we go. All right, wow, that looks beautiful. So that's the egg and tomato there. And just for presentation, sprinkle over a few more of those spring onions and another little, well, we didn't before, but a drizzle of sesame oil on top of that as well. You can have a little taste, and you can see it's nice and saucy, so it'll soak into that rice really nicely as well. Now, traditionally, a lot of Chinese families would add sugar to this. I don't add sugar to it, but you can if you wanted to. I feel like it needs... No, that's good. The flavour comes afterwards. It really hits your taste buds. Oh, yum. Okay. That's really nice. Right, so let's have a look at our rice. Looks flat, but it will fluff up. There you go, and you can see it hasn't really stuck to the bottom. It's fluffing up. A little bit has there, but I don't know if you can see that very well. So I'll just pop some rice onto a plate. A nice serving spoon full of this egg and tomato. Now I used 7 600-gram eggs for this particular meal, with 3 medium-sized tomatoes. So I tend to say 2 eggs per person is a good amount, but because these ones were smaller, I just put an extra egg in to feed the 3 of us. I've got 7 eggs today. Okay, so that is our meal. I don't know. Can you guys see that? It's not focusing. There we go. Our egg and tomato, and it's just really, really tasty. So it's one of the kids' favourite things to eat. So how are we going for time, guys? Oh, 45 minutes. How did that happen? I'm always going over time. Well, if you would like to just stay with me for a sec, I wanted to show you guys something. So I was just looking around today, and I noticed something white on my floor. I'm like, what is that? And I thought, oh my gosh, they're my mushrooms sporing all over the place, because I had the container stacked underneath a set of drawers to sort of keep in the dark a little bit. I'm running out of space here, but check that out. My oyster mushrooms have completely exploded themselves out of my grow tub, which and decided to spore all over my floor. So I thought that was a bit funny. And then walking the dogs today, we also found a few mushrooms too. So here we have puffballs that are actually edible, surprisingly. I've tried them before, but I'm not a huge fan. Some people really enjoy eating them. Not me, so yeah. But something I wanted to show everyone with these Agaricus xanthodermis, which are popping up everywhere at the moment. And you will see them on nature strips, in parks. They are everywhere. These are one of the toxic ones which will give you gastric upset. They won't kill you, but they will make you feel very violently ill, and it's not nice. Now, one of the ways to identify it, so this one here is a button version. It hasn't opened up. You can see underneath it's still closed. And it looks like a store-bought mushroom, like pretend that stalk isn't as long, but it looks like a regular sort of mushroom. That's because they're part of the same species. So the store mushrooms are also an Agaricus species, which are perfectly edible. But this particular subspecies of Agaricus is not edible. This is the opened up version of Agaricus xanthodermis. One telltale sign is that boxy sort of flat top on the cap. That boxy shape gives it away that it could be a xanthodermis species. The smell also, they smell a bit gross. They have a compound in them called phenol, PHENOL, and it smells like cleaning fluid or industrial cleaner or just a nasty sort of chemical. And the other thing you can do is a scratch test. If you scratch them, they turn yellow. So the stalk is a good place to give them a scratch and bruise on. And you can see that one's going a bit yellow there. So this is why they're commonly called yellow stainers. And another good place to rub is just the edge of the cap as well. Sometimes yellow stainers don't always turn yellow. It can be a bit tricky. Depends if they're waterlogged as well, but the smell gives it away every time. So it's not always... and I don't know if the lighting's very good in here. Can you see that's gone yellow? Just from a little scratch. There we go. So that's a yellow stainer. And that's how you can tell they're toxic and not edible. I've also picked up another Agaricus species here. So this one is edible and smells slightly of marzipan. And you can see the colour of the cap itself has all those brown fibrils on there too. So there are a few different ways to ID mushrooms. I won't go into too many details. I know I'm dragging on a little bit here with mushrooms, but I was just excited because I'm missing out on mushroom season. I guide foraging and identification tours as well for mushrooms, and we've had to cancel them all. So I still get excited when I take the dogs out for a walk and see mushies around. Yeah, I thought I would just quickly show everyone while I could and had the chance to pick a couple to show you the difference there. So thanks for watching, and if anyone does have queries about mushrooms, please send me a message. You can find me at Tash Can Cook, that's my page. Also, I'm part of a not-for-profit organisation called My Community. So My Community, we run all sorts of workshops and when things go back to normal, we've got a lab in Brunswick where we do all sorts of cool science stuff like DNA, barcoding, and microscopy. I can never say it. We look at spores under microscopes. Yeah. So heaps of cool mushrooming stuff. So if you look up Myco, MYCO, Community, My Community on Facebook, My Community, you'll find our group there, and we do very cool stuff. We've got some online courses happening as well. So we're all not-for-profit also, and we're doing our best with conservation and fungi sightings and DNA as well. So lots of cool stuff happening there too. Thanks for watching. Sorry it dragged on again. I'm pretty bad with my timing. I think I tend to rattle on a bit. But thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my session today. Ciao.